Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio, a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Educate, enlighten, entertain, and let's not forget mindfulness, a very important part of all our podcast programs here at Passionate World Talk Radio Network. This is a special report on the current administration's April 9th, 2025 order of 14270. And according to the author, Mr. Marx from Common Dreams, it is a sweeping directive that dismantles a century of Earth environmental protections. On April 9th, 2025, our current administration signed an executive order 14270 titled Zero-Based Regulatory Budgeting to Unleash American Energy. Common opinion, but at what cost to our planet, which includes everyone that lives on this planet. Behind that very long-sounding name is a sweeping directive. Dismantle a century of environmental protections. And if you don't think, common opinion, that it doesn't matter, wake up. If you think the tariffs are horrendous, this is worse. Doomsday. Every regulation related to the environment, natural resources, or energy, whether it's to safeguard our air, animal species which are already going extinct, or public lands, must be rewritten to serve polluters or vanish by default. His toadies will say it's just about efficiency. But this is not a standard review process. It has given us notice, an expiration date for protections, regardless of the science, impact, and legal mandate, is a countdown to human life. While the courts can deliberate, the rules will expire, enforcement will be suspended, and polluters will act as if the rules are already gone. The deadline is September 30th, 2026. Any rule, any protection order not revised or reauthorized by then will automatically expire. And whatever remains will not be protection. It won't be science. It will not be law. It will be hollow, stripped of enforcement and public purpose. This is not reform, ladies and gentlemen. It is a sabotage by an executive order, common opinion, by our current administration that doesn't understand America is your last hope. The Europeans came here because the natural resources and the environment was decimated in Europe and Asia. So they came and sailed across the ocean to look for new land and take it by force. Wake up and smell what's really important. Comment, opinion. Once America is decimated, there's no other place to go to. Mars and the moon and other planets. Wake up, folks. It's going to be hundreds of years before those places are ready. I mean, common sense alone would tell you that. To anyone who suggested that the current administration would never go that far, they're not using the brain that God gave them. And this collapse has already begun. The current administration spoke to miners in the Appalachian area and down south where strip mining was once allowed. Guess what? The miners don't want to go back into the tunnels to work. The Canary is calling a strike. With Executive Order 14270, our current administration issued not a policy to be revised, but a kill order out for us humans. Only they're not using guns and knives and bombs. The EO mandates that all regulations under energy-related authority, especially those administered by agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Interior and Energy, must be reviewed and either revised to align with the administration priorities or be automatically terminated by September 30th, 2026. And while for some of the agencies, the EO does not name specific laws, many fundamental protections fall within the agency's regulatory domains. Some can argue that this is something a regulatory reset or a call for modernization, but it's not based on science, need, or public interest. It is a mandate that requires rules to serve the industry or disappear by default. There's no purgatory here, folks. No neutral path. And there's no room for delay. If an agency fails to revise and reauthorize a rule in time, it expires, no matter whether it's going to save human lives or not. Legal experts and environmental attorneys have described similar regulatory strategy by the previous administration as calculated attempts to dismantle environmental protections from within. Comment, opinion. And what happens when everything is all dried up and you can't find any more oil or gas or natural gas? And even fracking fails to bring in the energy required to run not just America, but the whole world. And let's not forget about the third world countries that just might go to war for what we have. Something to think about. Even the rules that survive review will be rewritten, stripped of science and purpose, then repackaged as what? This is not just bureaucratic obstacle. It is a regulatory kill switch. Forget about opinion, a comment about sending the immigrants to El Salvador. This administration will kill off more than immigrants. It will start killing its own citizens. Species Act, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, Adromenous Fish Conservation Act, Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act. Common opinion. Did you know they can't find any fish left along the California coast? It's all been decimated. Just letting you know. They're not under review. They are all under attack. The laws everyone recognizes, such as the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Acts, it's just the beginning for this administration. Beneath these laws lie hundreds of fundamental and foundational rules that safeguard public health, climate resilience, environmental justice, and disaster readiness. Under this Executive Order 14270, they are all at risk. And he's already started. In case you people have not been paying attention, he's already started. Supporters may claim the order only targets outdated or burdensome regulations, but the text apply broadly and indiscriminately. It sets no exceptions for essential rules, no protections for high impact safeguards, and no criteria for public benefit. Unless these rules are rewritten to meet the new standards and reauthorized by September 30th, 2026, they will expire. And along with them goes the regulatory backbone of modern environmental protection. Quote, opinion, comment. So instead of giving what his supporters put him into office, he is killing them legally. He won't need to send you to El Salvador or Guatemala to obey. He won't need to hang you or shoot you as committing treason against the United States. He's killing you by getting rid of the protections that our planet needs to sustain us. These laws are not theoretical, and they will fall, just like democratic governments, the United States, France, Germany. The key protections on our guillotine, metaphysically speaking, of course: Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, Toxic Substance Control Act, Superfund Cleanup Authority, Mercury and Air Toxic Standards, Land and Resource Protection, Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act, Wilderness Act, Antiquities Act, Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, Federal Land Policy and Management Act, Energy and Climate, Energy Policy Act of 2005, Greenhouse Gas Endangerment Finding, Energy Star Program, Oil Pollution Act of 1990. Each of these took years, sometimes decades, of organizing science and compromise to create. They were not handed down by elites. They were won by our people who refused to accept poisoned air, burning rivers, and dead coastline. If you think baby boomers, which include all of Congress and the Senate mostly, that you're going to get away with this, they will hunt you down. You don't think so, but they will. They will hunt you down and lock you up and tie you to where the worst of all this pollution is going to be. And then you're going to have to breathe in the very vapors that you're trying to get rid of or not get rid of, and see how you and your children and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren will survive. Science put these acts into law. They were won by people who refused to accept poison air, burning rivers, and dead coastlines. With one order, 14270, it's erasing all of it at once, no rollback. Executive Order 14270 does not just target major environmental laws, it dismantles the infrastructure that makes those laws real. Supporters could argue that the laws remain untouched, but behind every statute, like the Clean Water Act or Endangered Species Act, are thousands of rules, monitoring systems, enforcement protocols, and technical standards. Without them, laws are just, well, words on paper that can be burned, incinerated, crumpled, torn, shredded. Now, all must be written to serve polluters. If not, it disappears completely. And guess what? It took millions of years to get some of our natural resources, and we're not going to be around for a million years. Thousands of environmental regulations administered by such agencies as the EPA and the Department of the Interior could be subject to review and potential termination under his Executive Order 14270. Here's what, hypothetically, a collapse looks like. Public health protections. Air monitoring rules vanish. No alerts for lead, benzene, or ozone. Comment, opinion. You don't think so? Hey, guys, he got rid of all the people who tell people in the tornado and cyclone states, and he's fired them. So now if something disastrous happens, guess what? Nobody will hear the alerts unless they go off by some benevolent person. Or guess what? The present administration doesn't like people in blue states. So he's taken out a personal vendetta against them. If their blue state needs help, as president, he's going to refuse giving it. He is not going to give them the help they require. Cute? He's also targeting all the political opponents that live in these blue states to get rid of. Why? Because he wants to be the one and only. And even one and onlys need to pay a price. I mean, if you really want to make comparisons, go watch the movie Gladiator that's on right now on Prime over in Amazon. And it explains to you very clearly what one person can do and what people can do if they stand on their 2 feet and decide to stop them. Movies are not just a form of entertainment, folks. You can learn a lot from watching an historical movie like Gladiator. Back to the show. Radiation limits are lifted. Safety near nuclear sites arose. Comment? Opinion? That means you can build a whole family of houses right over a reclaimed nuclear waste land. Think about that. Do you really want to bring up your children and grandchildren in a place like that? Think about it. Vehicle emissions, testing ends, smog returns to U.S. cities. Hey, comment, just look over at China and see how the people over there lived. They've been living under a single man rule now for a long time. Maybe you ought to write them a fan letter and ask them how they survive. Water waste and pollution. Storm water runoff restrictions disappear. Waste flows rivers. They flood them. And what about all that acid rain? Oh, sorry, that's a leftover from the 20th century. Opinion, comment. He's already stopped putting fluoride in the water. The whole time the fluoride has been in the water has prevented more kids having cavities. Opinion, comment. Did you know that most kids by the time they're 2 years old have so many cavities in their mouth that is driving the dentist nuts? I bet you never thought about dentistry being part of your health program, but it is. Hazardous waste transport rules vanish. Disposal turns chaotic. That means, like the Middle Ages, everybody can throw their garbage out the window at anybody who's walking by. Doesn't that sound like fun? Drilling oversight ends. Protected lands are open to industry. Just like he's selling off all the national parks to developers and to the forest industry to chop down all those historical redwoods. Go team! Climate and disaster response. Energy efficiency rules are revoked. He already did that with the blue energy that used to be formerly on all your washing machines to protect, and dishwashers to save you energy when you use them. Fire mitigation programs are defunded. Wildfires grow deadlier. Yep, he's gotten rid of all the forest rangers. They don't need them. Kind of like getting rid of all the air traffic controllers. And who did they put up in place? Yeah, you guessed it, the military. And we know how good the military is when it comes to planes wrecking into each other or drowning themselves in the river, or maybe a quick wash, or all the helicopter contact problems they have. Doesn't that make you feel better to realize that your current administration is using the military to take care of you? Newark should get down on our knees and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Fisheries protections vanish. Coastal economies are destabilized. Yeah, the current administration lifted a protected sanctuary for fish now. So everybody can go into that area, destroy the coral, and decimate all the fish. Who cares? It's there for the asking. However, this is not just about forests or fish. It is about tap water, asthma medication, grocery prices, and cancer risks. Hey, he's already dismantled everything under the health department. And the health over in Washington, D.C., there's no more research. So if you get cancer, well, if you can't do with what they did back in the 20th century, as they would say from the Christmas Carol by Dickens, it reduces the surplus of the population. Oh, wait, he's trying to increase the population by bribing couples with $5,000. My mistake. Betsy Sutherland, former EPA Director of Science and Technology for Water, has warned that deregulatory approaches of this kind could lead to a systemic breakdown in public health protection. It doesn't trim fat, it guts the architecture that keeps America safe, functional, and future ready. The economic and society costs. The damage from Executive Order 14270 will not stop with wildlife or wilderness. It will hammer the economy, threaten public health, and unravel industries that depend on clean air, safe water, and protective landscapes, like all those chemicals that are flushed into rivers, and the water from the rivers go and end up in your bathtub or your sink, or your kid may turn on the faucets and get a drink of chemicals. How exciting is that? Your iridescent neon green child will walk into the room and light up every room. Or if you're really desperate for Christmas lights, you can hang your kids on your Christmas tree. Well, that is your thought. Some defenders will argue that environmental regulations stifle business, raise costs, or limit innovation. Oh, the current administration isn't already doing that with tariffs on imports and exports. But environmental law in America was not born from ideology. And if you want to continue the rest of this opinion piece, you can find it at altnet, ALTERNET.org. The person who wrote it is very important, so you can look after his name and find it on Google. It's very easy. All you have to do is put it in. It's written by John Marks from Common Dreams, May 12, 2025. Thank you very much for joining us this morning and this afternoon. I hope you took some notes or are intrigued enough to go over and read the article. His opinion. And I just added some comments and opinions because we still have the right to do that. It may not exist by September 30th, 2026, but right now I'm still allowed to say what I think, and I will continue to do so. Special Reports is brought to you by Ruby.ai. Check us out at aiwithlillian.com, and it'll take you to a webpage where you'll see testimonials and a demonstration should you wish to trot your fingers through it, and then sign up for a monthly subscription. You'll be glad you did. It's a no-brainer. And let's face it, folks, AI is not going to go away. So you might as well learn how to use it properly and have it assist you in your personal, business, and spiritual life. The other company is Conscious Research Solutions. Check us out at passionworldtalkradio.com/research made simple blog. It lists all the pain points and then tells you how to overcome them. Intrigued? Sign yourself up for a free 15-minute consultation and speak to one of our research assistants. And it's also brought to you by us, passionworldtalkradio.com/donations. Please, if you want to hear the news and the truth, and only the truth, with a little bit of satire attached to it, because if you can't laugh at yourself, and that's the point. If you laugh at yourself, you see the bad from the good, and you may even learn something. Thank you very much for listening, and have an awesome day.